I've been using a Facebook ad strategy to scale my campaigns and generate hundreds of thousands of dollars in Shopify sales every single month. And today I'm going to reveal exactly how you can too. I know not everyone is at that level, but the crazy thing is I've used the exact same strategy to scale brands that were spending as little as $50 a day to start with. The method is incredibly simple to set up, easy to manage, and will get you back a huge amount of time you currently spend building campaigns and ads. I'm going to break the method down into its key parts and even show you a live example of me building it inside an ad account. The secret to scaling Facebook ads is about slow and steady growth. It does not matter how much you scale in one day, 1 week, or even really 1 month. It's about consistent performance month over month and gradually growing your account. So you can see this brand here started on $138K per month. 90 days later, they're doing double their monthly revenue, $327K. Okay, so scaling once a week, slowly and steadily, is going to get you results. And that's because Meta is a machine learning software. If you look at Meta's documentation, even they tell you this. So over time, as more people view an ad, share feedback in it, or click through to make a purchase on your website, Meta's models get better at predicting their estimated action rate and ad quality. These are two core elements of the auction equation, aka the formula that's deciding whether or not your ad is shown to every individual user. Given what I'm about to show you, taking bits and pieces from different ad strategies may help you scale in the short term, but eventually you'll reach a point where performance starts to drop. To scale, you need to pick a single cohesive strategy and stick with it. And that's exactly what I'm going to show you now. So this is the structure we're going to use, and it's essentially Charlie Titchener's 3-2-2 method, if you've ever heard of this, but evolved for how things have changed in the platform in the last half year. So you're going to have a campaign per each of these top 20% products you're advertising. If you're just starting with this, you probably want to just start with your very top product and just have one campaign. And then as you scale it, you can expand to other campaigns for those other top 20% products. But let's say we're starting with this one campaign first of all. You're going to set it up as a CBO campaign. So the budget is set at the campaign level. Then within this, you're going to have winner ad sets and creative test ad sets. Okay. So at any one time, you will have 2 ad sets that are testing new creatives, and those creative tests last for 1 week. And then they either are winners or they are losers, in which case they are paused. If they are a winner, the ad set will be pinned, and it will just be pinned at the top of Ads Manager, and you leave it running, getting you the performance. So what is the criteria for something that is a winner? Well, if it's pulling at least 30% of the budget from the campaign, and your overall result, so whether you're looking at the CPA on the product or you're looking at your overall business CPA, as long as that is hitting your target, it's not been pulled down, and that new asset is pulling 30% of the spend in the campaign, it is a winner, and you can pin it into the group of the winners. If it pulls more than 30% of the spend, but you have a worse result in the business, that means it's bringing a lot of traffic. It's something that is very engaging, but it's not giving you the business result you need, which is the conversions. So you want to turn it off, but you want to analyze it and try and establish how can we make this, or make an iteration of this creative that is obviously got something in it, some sort of ability on the platform, but how can we make it in a way that it actually is better at converting? Maybe it's adding more call to actions, maybe it's talking more about the product, whatever, okay? But anyway, you will keep these things in the pinned asset, and in the next week, you would just simply start 2 new creative tests and test more assets. And you don't need to test every week as well. That's one thing I'll put in as an importance here, because people will tell you have to be testing stuff every week. That's not true. If you have a period where you're not testing, it's not a problem. Spend the time making quality creatives and doing proper creative analysis. And if that means you're going to have to test new creatives once a month or once every 2 weeks, that's absolutely fine as long as the account is performing. It just means you can't scale. The creative testing is what allows you to scale. So let's dive into these actual tests to make you understand them a little bit more, okay? So you're going to have 2 ad sets, and within these ad sets, you're going to have three creatives, and you're going to have 2 ads copy and 2 headlines. So the main thing we're testing is creative, because creative is the most important part of generating conversions on Meta. The copy and the headlines are secondary. 90 or 95% of the work is really done by the creative aspect of an ad. So you want to have new creative every single time, but we want to limit our variables, because if we have new creative and then we add new copy, but the copy, even though it's only 5%, is just that little bit worse, maybe we have worse results, but actually this creative is better than something else in the campaign, okay? So that's why we limit the variables. We have the best ad copy from our ad account, because it's proven itself to be the absolute best thing. And we have the best headline in our ad account currently as another limited variable. Then we add 1 new copy variant and 1 new headline, because we might find a new copy and a new headline with these new ads that is actually better than the current top one, but we don't know, okay? Now, one thing to note as well, you don't want to mix and match images and videos. Within an ad set, you either have 3 images, or you have 3 videos, or you have 3 GIFs, because they behave differently and they skew to different placements more, okay? What you can have though is 1 ad set testing the images and 1 ad set testing the videos at the same time, or both ad sets could be testing images, or both ad sets could be testing videos. That's not a problem. And what's going to happen is you're going to find a new winning ad combo from these different ad sets by doing this test. Maybe it'll be one of these ads, one of these creatives, maybe it'll be 1 new copy, maybe it'll be 1 previous headline, and that will be the top winning combo. What we historically used to do is grab the post ID and move them into a winner's ad set. You don't do that anymore. If you find a new winning combo, you just simply pin it and it goes here. If it doesn't win, if it doesn't pull the spend, or it pulls the spend and the result comes down, top line, you basically turn it off and you just start another test, okay? And if that happens as well before the week's over, you would obviously turn it off. So 3 days in, if it's pulling all the spend, but it's hurting your overall performance on the campaign, turn it off. If it's just not pulling the spend, you can leave it on for the full week. It's not doing any harm. And sometimes you'll find later on, it will start to pick up traction and pull the spend. So a couple more rules just before we finish on this and jump back into the other stuff. You want to have, and one thing I forgot to say actually, we're setting these up at flex ads. So I'll show you when I build the campaign, but at the ad level, you want to select flex ad so that you can have these multiple creative and copy combinations rather than just 1 creative. The reason why we're doing that is because it's using AI and machine learning to 1, predict how well it thinks it's going to do, and then once the combinations start running in the live account to a live market, the machine learning is going to feed back data and it compare the appropriate things, and the real top one can emerge based on what all the different combinations are feeding back, rather than just 10 different. Let's say you had 200 different individual ads. They can feed back the data to the ad set, but they can't change what they're doing. This can feed back all the learnings from all the different creatives and make the ultimate creative. So what you can find is 6 months down the line, the top combination might change, and it just gives the ad a new lease of life. So yeah, just finishing off, we have 1 ad per concept. So each of these ad sets is going to focus on 1 concept, which is going to be a market desire or a market fear. For the video flex ads, the creative variable should always be the visual hook. So you're going to change only the first 3 to 5 seconds of the video. Essentially, you're going to have 1 video, and then there's going to be 3 versions of that video where the start is just different, because the hook is the most important part. If you don't have a good hook, no one's going to watch the rest of the video, so it's wasted. 90% of your effort should be in the hook, and that's why you want to give yourself the best chance of success by having 3 versions. Because if you start with 1 video and it's just a bad hook, you'll think it's a bad video and you won't test it again, but actually it might just be the hook didn't appeal to people. And then with images, the way you're going to do it is you're going to have the variable of the visual element, but you're going to have the same text headline and the same text benefits represented on the image. How you visually present that though can be completely different colors, different arrangement, different imagery, don't really care, but you have to have those variables constant. And I mean, if you change like slight things in the text, so like if my headline had a different way of saying the same thing, for me, that's fine, you know. Variety doesn't really hurt. Next, we'll look at an essential detail for when you're running a store with multiple products. This is where most people start to encounter issues as they try to replicate the success they had with their initial products. The products we're advertising with Facebook ads absolutely matter. You can't just advertise any old product and expect to be able to scale. So what we want to do is we want to apply the Pareto principle to our Facebook ads and only advertise the top 20% of products that generate 80% of your revenue. And the reason is the top 20% of your products have the greatest market demand. That means the largest audience, so more scalability. They have the lowest cost per visit and conversion, which makes them more profitable. So you're going to pay for your ad spend to bring the traffic, and they have a high relevancy in the traffic they're bringing. So those people are going to buy your other products anyway. You don't need to advertise those products. Plus, you can focus your resources rather than spreading yourself too thinly across different things. So there's a time saving to that, less assets to build and optimize in Ads Manager. You've also got less creatives to make because you're only making creatives for a couple of products rather than absolutely every product. You have a cost saving. There's less creatives required, which means you don't spend as much money making one version for every single product. And there's less tests to run, which also means less wastage in ad spend doing these tests because you can share the learnings that you have in the early tests with future products you then introduce as you scale. There's also better data. That's more budget to exit the learning phase, which Meta wants. And because you're getting more sales in, that's more data fed back as to the type of people who are buying your product that Meta can then use to optimize and bring you in future people. Again, working with that machine learning that is a core element of the platform. And major brands do the same thing without you even realizing it. Take Apple, for example. Apple, if you look at any of their ads, TV, if you look at Ads Manager or even just Google Images and look at what their ads are, the vast majority of their ads are going to be of the iPhone. And there's good reason for that. The iPhone represents 49% of Apple's sales. So that's why they're advertising it. They know if they bring people in on the appeal of the iPhone, people are either going to buy the iPhone and then buy other Apple products, which is exactly what happened to me. I bought an iPhone, then a MacBook, then AirPods, so on and so forth. Or they're going to go onto Apple's website, get into Apple's funnel, and maybe they'll buy a different Apple product as their first purchase, okay? But it goes further than that. They even do this with the top variants. So you might have a top product, but there's no point advertising that top product in the most unpopular variant of that product. So for example, if we look at colors, things like pink are obviously a good variation to have for Apple, can help expand the market, but it's not the top selling product. So you very rarely would see these colored Apple iPhones in ads by themselves. Sometimes you do, but it's not the vast majority of their ads. The vast majority of their ads are black, white, and the silver color iPhone. When they do show the colored products, what they'll tend to do is they'll pair it in group photos or group ads so that the whole market is attracted, but then it helps people understand there's other color options if you want, and that might be a selling point that helps bring in additional people. So how do you find these top products? Well, you want to go into Shopify and you want to go to the report section on the left-hand side, and then you want to find a report called Top Sales by Product. Find that, filter it by net items sold, take out anything that is not like a proper AOV product. So if you have supplementary accessories that sell in high units, obviously you don't count them as the top products. You're talking about your core products with good AOV that are going to pay for your ad spend. Those are the ones you're going to take as starting, and look for the top 20% of them. Like I said, they're generating 80% of revenue, and that's going to be the order of preference that you start to advertise them. The one that's generating the most portion of that revenue is the one you start with, okay? Now, the targeting I use may seem lazy, but I do it this way for a very specific reason, and it's one of the most powerful tools to target your ideal audience with your Facebook ads. So how do you target your ideal audience? Well, you want to use broad targeting. i.e. no advantage detailed targeting used, i.e. no interest audience selected. You then want to set a location, and you have the option of whether you set an age and a gender or not. So I tend not to, unless it's a specific brand where you absolutely have a core gender or a core age demographic that either you're legally obliged to target, or just, they are 100% the people that buy your product because it's so fitted towards them, and the amount of people seeing it and recommending to a friend is so low that it's not even worth doing, okay? But I tend to just leave them open and make good creative to not do it. But if you don't have good creative, sometimes you need to fix those audiences so you don't get bad traffic. And then the other thing is to exclude your current customers. That is optional. I never really do it. I see the benefit in getting your current customers, giving you positive feedback on the ads. And really, the algorithm is so sophisticated that it's not going to be spending a huge proportion of your budget on current customers. This is not an ASC campaign. It's a manual sales campaign. So you don't really have to worry about it spending all your budget on your current customers. So why are we using broad targeting over interest targeting? Well, the first thing is you've got a fixed audience with broad. If you think about interest, Meta can remove people from your interest groups one day to the next. So you may be warming people up and then they're no longer in your interest audience and they can no longer see your ads. With broad, anyone relevant to your ads is always going to be able to see it. So you never have that issue of people just dropping out and you losing the ability to convert that person you spent money trying to warm up and nurture. The second reason is there's unlimited size. So once you max out an interest as you're scaling up, you then have to start with a new interest, testing different interests until you find something that works and scale that up as well to get to the next level of scale. Because you don't have any of that machine learning data built up in those new interests. If you max out broad, however, you've literally maxed out your entire market and you have to introduce a new product or something because there's no more people to sell to. Broad is the entirety of the people on the platform. And finally, there's no bias to creative when you're using broad. When you find a winning creative, for example, and it's on an interest audience, that may only be working for that specific interest, which means it's not very scalable because you can't put it on other interests. It was just something in that particular group was resonating with it, and the machine learning is building up again with that particular group, and it doesn't necessarily work on other interests, and you can't scale that creative. So was it ever really a winner in the first place? But interest targeting is also high risk when you're at scale. If Meta just decide to remove an interest that you're using, and they do this quite often, your campaign just absolutely dies. If you've got a big fat budget on that, that can be very precarious. You may now have all the information and experience you need to set up a campaign by yourself, but one small stake in this strategy will completely ruin your campaign. So stick with me a little longer and listen carefully as we build a campaign together. Right, we're ready for the fun stuff and we can build the actual campaign. So come to create and come and choose the sales campaign. Hit continue. And then very important here, you don't want to have the Advantage Plus shopping campaign. You want to come and choose a manual sales campaign. Very, very important, choose the manual sales campaign. So hit continue and the campaign is ready to be built. So come in and put a name in the campaign. I'm not going to go show you the names today, but I have another video showing you how to name your campaigns. And we want to check on this, the Advantage campaign budget, to make it a CBO campaign. So come in and put your budget. So let's just say £100 for now. And also make sure Advantage Plus catalogs ads is turned off. Sometimes it's on, so just have that turned off. And that is you at the campaign level, done everything you need to do. So come and hit next and we can start building the first ad set. So this is going to be our test ad set where we're going to test the first batch of our new creative. So come and select website. And we're going to come down, maximize number of conversions, make sure your pixel's selected and come and choose the purchase event. And that should be that sorted. We're going to scroll down further, skip past the dynamic creative step. If it's still there, we're going to be using flex ads and come and select the start date for your campaign. So I always like to ad set. and camping, to be honest, because we're just starting it. But like, I always just like to start mine on the Monday, and I start them at midnight, because you want to give it the full length of the day to run. You can start it any time of day, but like, your first day is not proper data because it's never a full day. You're better just having a full day, and then each day is equal, okay? So that's that done. And then we have another very, very, very important step. When you come down to this section, Advantage Plus Audience, you want to click this, Switch to Original Audience Options. Advantage Plus Audience is using the Advantage Plus algorithm, and it is designed to hone in on the people most likely and most in market to convert, okay? That kills scale. We don't want to have that. We're trying to scale. You want to have manual audience. So switch to the original audience options and then use this here. So use original audience, make sure you select that, okay? Use original audience. And then you come to the targeting. So like we said, broad audience. I'm having it as the United Kingdom. That's the country I want to target. And I don't change the age and gender for my brand, so I'm not going to change them. I'm going to leave them fully open. And likewise, I don't exclude anyone. But if you want to add an exclusion, you can come in and exclude here your current customers, for example. So you can see I've got like Klaviyo, Pixel Purchase. I could exclude them, but I don't want to. I love fully broad, completely open. Placements, you're going to keep that open, manual placements, so we can come and do the creatives. So in the creatives, make sure the correct Facebook page and Instagram account are selected for the ads manager you're working in. And then you're going to come down and you're going to select flexible ads, okay? One other thing that keeps happening, sometimes this partnership ad thing is turned on. So turn that off because it will change how this all looks. But yeah, come down, select flexible ads, keep multi-advertiser ads checked, and you can come and select the media. Actually, I'm going to come back because there's one thing that's reminded me I didn't show you, and it is down here, okay? So if you come on the ad set level to more options after the pixel part, what they're sometimes doing is they're putting this on as default. So engaged view for video views 1 day, come and turn that off. You don't want that on. It's going to give you poor quality people. So you just want to have 7 days click, 1 day view as your attribution setting. Okay, so once you've done that, you can come back to the ad and we can actually select the creative. So we're going to add 3 of the images we want to test. I'm doing images here. So let me just pick 3 random ones for the example. I think these are all connected, but anyway, doesn't matter. It's just an example. So I'm picking 3 images that I'm testing. I'm going to put in my best ad copy from the account. I'm going to put in my best headline from the account. And then I'm going to add 1 new ad copy. Obviously, I'm just not doing these for time-saving purposes. And I'm going to add 1 new headline as well. You would have proper copy in these. You don't need to have a description. The description is just going to pull from the primary text and the headline, as well as your metadata of your website. So there's really no point in doing it. It's not shown in all placements anyway. You're obviously going to put in your URL. So let me just do that. And you're going to have Advantage Plus Creative Optimizations checked on. We no longer grab the post ID with this type of setup, so it doesn't matter. This is going to fragment us into having tons of post IDs. Don't worry if you don't know what that means, but just know that we can have it on these days. And for e-commerce, always just have it as shop now as the call to action, okay? And you come in and put your URL parameters as well. I'm not going to do that now. You can find them online, okay? So that would essentially be our first test set up, and all we have to come and do is click these 3 dots and quickly duplicate it, and then simply update the name. So you would update your name, obviously. I've got another video on it, like I said, and just come and check all the settings haven't changed at the ad level. You know, so come in and check these are all the same as they were. If once you've done that, what you do is you simply just delete the current media and you swap it for whatever is your second test. So obviously I have everything in the account. You just come to upload if you need to upload it, if you're like a real beginner in this. But let's say we want to choose the videos now. We're just going to choose videos, all under the same concept. And where did they go? Yep, so they're in there. There you go, that's errors now disappeared. You get errors pop up from now and again, but they don't really mean much. You see mine was in Greek because I'm in Greece. But yeah, that is that setup. You would hit publish, and that would be your campaign live. Building your campaign was just the beginning. Many brands see initial success, but after some time, you're going to hit a plateau, as you would with any Facebook ad strategy. But what is it that causes this scaling ceiling, if you like? Well, demand reduces as you scale, and you reach a point where the current creative either doesn't interest enough additional people, or it simply isn't relevant to them. So here's an example for you to understand of creative not being interesting enough to additional audiences. So Buddy and Lola sell this pumpkin powder for dogs, and they have this very nice looking ad here that is focused on the pouch. So maybe there's people on Instagram who like to shop on Instagram, and this is a typical ad that they know it's a product, they like to shop. It's going to stop them scrolling and investigate further. But what about the people who aren't really there to shop, are dog owners and just like looking at cute pictures of pets, and they will shop now and again, but that's not really the core reason they're on the platform? Well, that ad's not going to really interest them because it's quite obviously for shopping. They have a different ad that can stop the scroll of those people who are interested in the dog by showing a photograph that probably is representative of the other content they see in their feed. Just a cute dog, real life type of photo, but just happens to be showing the product. So once it's caught their attention and stopped the scroll, the copy of the ad can then build up their curiosity, and some of these people might then buy the product. And here's an example of the creative not being relevant to everyone. So Pet Lab sell a probiotic for dogs, and they run this ad here promoting all the amazing benefits of their probiotic. It's the USA's #1 selling probiotic. If people know that dogs need probiotics, they're going to see this ad, and because of all these amazing benefits and this credibility, they're probably going to buy from Pet Lab rather than another brand. But what about all the dog owners who just simply don't know dogs need probiotics? So what Pet Lab need to do is to use another creative that's first going to educate the people who have a relevancy because they have a dog, and then present the probiotic as the solution to those problems that the person didn't know was connected to not having probiotics. So here's an example. The ad starts, 3 signs your dog's gut is crying out for help. Just creates curiosity to people who have a dog. Scratching, paw licking, head shaking. I'm sure a lot of people's dogs probably do that and they don't know why. So now they're very curious to find out, well, why is my dog doing all these things? They investigate further by watching more of the video, and then Pet Lab explain it and present their product, taking a probiotic, and take R1, the probiotic chew, as the solution. So those people who didn't even know that they need a probiotic, when you reach that first level of scale, can now convert with your new ad, and you can push past that scale ceiling and continue scaling up until you hit the next one. And this is a fundamental of marketing. The concept comes from Eugene Schwartz, who was a legendary copywriter who pioneered the concept that marketing must evolve with the audience's awareness level. So you see here the triangle, and this is exactly what's happening on Meta. You have a large pool of people who are unaware of the problem or the product or the brand. You then move down to a smaller pool who are aware of the problem, but not any solutions or any products. Then you have the smaller pool who are aware of the solution, then the product, and then finally the most aware, people who are aware of your brand and your specific offering, okay? So you're moving really the opposite way. You're starting on the small pool and you're getting larger and larger as you scale. And very rarely you're going to be in an unaware pool with Meta. That's a massive amount of the audience. But you could reach a point at some time where you're using an enormous multi-8-figure company, and you start needing to hit unaware people as well. So that's exactly how you scale Facebook ads to 7 and 8 figures in Shopify revenue. But there's something I've missed in this video. Everything I've just told you is completely useless if you don't have the right creative for Facebook ads. So watch this video that I've linked in the description to learn how to make Facebook ad creatives that convert like crazy.